a student who receives special education services as a part of my education. I have since I was in kindergarten. I had a stroke before I was born that left me with cerebral palsy, epilepsy, and some learning difficulties for things that are normally done by the affected part of my brain. I heard that there are certain board members who don't think students who have special ed supports and services should be mainstreamed. I just want everyone to know I love school, and a big part of that is being in the classes with my friends. When you love something, you do better at it. I am proof that full inclusion works.
I'm obviously the mother of that amazing human being. Ms. Miner, you recently were the star of a video where you gave an interview about special education. First point that needs to be made, all students are general education students.
There are a lot of teachers who have kids that are pushed into their classrooms in full inclusion.
I came here tonight for 2 reasons. I want you all to see a face when you are talking about special education students. We aren't scary, weird, disruptive, or unable to learn.
Because large class sizes with a kid who, let's say, has ADHD or some sort of an auditory processing disorder,
right,
it's very distracting already in a class, but if
it's going to slow everything down too.
We just need help or modifications to make sure we are as ready as we can be for the real world when we graduate.
Please don't call them SPED kids. It's offensive.
A whole team of people who help me, and that's the second reason I am here. I want to thank all the staff who have helped me along the way.
Ms. Miner, you recently were the star of a video where you gave an interview about special education. I want to give you a couple of corrections. Using the term typical and normal to describe one set of students who are strictly gen ed, do you know how hard that is to hear as a mother, that there's normal and then there's not normal? My kid is not normal. It's horrible.
I want to thank the physical therapists who helped me figure out how to carry something and open a door when I only have one hand that works.
Okay. But the truly horrible part about that interview was your pilot program you so gleefully outlined. You want to put all the kids with services in one class.
And so something that I would like to try and pilot would be having a classroom that has inclusion, so they have special needs kids in their classroom. Let's say they have 5 kids in there. Well, let's have 15 typically developing peers in that classroom.
It's called segregation. You want to rob them of a day filled with their friends. Oh wait, should SPED kids only hang out with other SPED kids? It's a disability, it's not cooties. So let's say the quiet parts out loud. You think kids like mine are so undesirable to be around that only the hardiest of learners, I believe you called them independent self-starters.
Let's have 15 typically developing peers in that classroom, kids that maybe are a little bit more independent, more self-starters,
can withstand their negative influence. And so horrid to teach that you need to pay those teachers an extra stipend just to be around her.
We should be giving that teacher a stipend.
In 2019, I had brain surgery to disconnect the entire left side of my brain because of my epilepsy, which was not fun at all, left me with even more disabilities. Thank you to my case manager at Santiago, who helped my family and me through a really hard time. Thank you to my Elmo case manager and OUSD Special Education Department. It is because of the support of all these people for the past decade that next year I will graduate ready, not only for a career, but for college.
You promote a curriculum and programs that want to take education back to the way it was 100 years ago. Well, we refuse to go back. Slightly less than 100 years ago, people like my daughter were exterminated by evil in Germany because of their disabilities. We will not go back to that. 75 years ago, children like my daughter were sent to institutions to live. We will not go back to that. 50 years ago, children like my daughter were put in special classrooms at the end of hallways with limited expectations and limited interactions with kids in general ed. We will not go back to that.
I think it would also make some of our special ed parents satisfied.
Yeah.
We have fought too hard to have our children not only included, but celebrated. I will fight you, our community will fight you, and we will stop you. We will not go back. Special ed isn't fully funded. If you want to advocate for students, advocate for that.
Being in this position, you get used to taking a lot of abuse. It was really hard to hear people thinking that I was not for inclusion. And I do 100% agree that full inclusion is the way to go.
Kids that are pushed into their classrooms in full inclusion.
So I don't know how that got twisted.
Someone got it twisted. We all saw your video. And in the video, you called for segregation. And if you're embarrassed by that because you now realize how ignorant that was and how unlawful that is, then be a big person and be a leader and own that. But don't tell us that we got it wrong, because we've all seen the video. Nobody got twisted. We were right to call you out.